Okay, so like most people, I'm guessing, I look at my car and I mostly just see like money going out.
Yeah.
It's like insurance and gas and repairs. It feels like it never
It's
ends.
definitely a major expense.
But what if you could flip that script? If instead of your car draining your bank account, it could actually make you money.
That'd be pretty sweet.
That's where Turo comes in.
Ah, yeah, I've heard of that.
So for anyone who doesn't know, it's basically like Airbnb, but for cars.
Okay.
So you can rent out your vehicle to other people, set your own rates.
You're like your own little rental car company.
Exactly. And potentially earn a pretty decent side income.
Huh. I like the sound of that.
But, of course, with any kind of side hustle, there are going to be some catches.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
There's got to be a downside.
Like, I don't know about you, but I'm a little hesitant about just handing over my car keys to a complete stranger.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I get that. There's definitely some things to consider, like what about wear and tear on your car?
Yeah.
More miles, different driving styles.
Yeah.
And then there's always the chance of like dings or scratches.
Yeah, that's what makes me nervous.
And then on top of that, there's the whole hassle of dealing with the renters themselves.
So you're saying it's not just like list your car and watch the cash roll in?
Yeah, it's definitely not a passive income stream.
So there's actual work involved.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a certain level of like commitment you got to be ready for. You're managing bookings, coordinating pickups and drop-offs, making sure the car's clean between rentals.
So it's kind of like running your own little mini business.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's say I'm up for the challenge.
All right. I like your attitude.
How do I know if my car even has what it takes to be a Turo superstar?
Ah, the million-dollar question.
Is it all about having like the flashiest ride?
It's funny you say that because picking the right car for Turo is actually way more strategic than you might think.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It's not just about having a cool car. It's all about understanding your local market.
What do you mean?
Like, let's say you live in a mountainous region.
Right.
A rugged SUV might be a total hit there. But if you're in a city center where parking is like gold,
Yeah.
a compact, fuel-efficient car is going to be way more appealing.
That makes sense.
So you got to do your research, see what's in demand in your area, and then consider things like your budget for buying the car, how much it'll cost to maintain, and of course, insurance.
Right.
Don't forget about insurance.
So a super cool car might not actually be the smartest financial choice.
Exactly. Sometimes practicality wins over flashiness.
Okay, I'm starting to see that. So like what about something like a flashy sports car? Wouldn't that attract more renters?
It might,
Yeah.
but you got to think about the total cost of ownership. A high-performance car usually means higher insurance premiums, more expensive maintenance, and you're often stuck paying for premium gas.
Oh yeah, true.
All those costs, they eat into your profits.
Yeah.
You might end up actually making less money than if you had a reliable and economical sedan.
Wow, that's a good point. I hadn't really thought about that. So it's not just about the cool factor. It's got to be cost effective too. That's making me rethink my whole Turo strategy.
Good. It's all about being strategic.
Okay, so we've picked the right car. We're excited about the possibilities.
All right, I'm excited for you.
But what about like the unglamorous side of things?
You mean like the stuff nobody wants to talk about?
Yeah, like maintenance and stuff.
Ah, yes. Maintenance, the often overlooked but absolutely crucial element of Turo's success.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Think of it this way. A well-maintained car is way less likely to have any mechanical issues.
Which means happier renters.
Exactly. Fewer cancellations.
Yeah.
Better reviews.
And ultimately more bookings and more money.
You got it. So prioritizing maintenance, it's not just about keeping your car running smoothly. It's an investment in your Turo business.
Okay, I'm seeing the connection. So what kind of maintenance are we talking about here?
Well,
Beyond the usual oil changes and tire rotations.
good question. So because your car is going to be driven by a bunch of different people, it's super important to be extra vigilant and check for things that might get missed in like a typical maintenance check.
Okay, like what? Give me an example.
Okay, so let's say a renter accidentally scrapes the underside of your car on a high curb.
Wow.
It might seem like a minor cosmetic thing,
Yeah.
but if you don't catch it early,
Uh-oh.
it could lead to rust, and then you're talking about way more extensive damage down the road.
Yikes.
So those regular inspections, they let you address those small problems before they turn into big, expensive headaches.
So being proactive is key. Got it. But let's be real here. It's all about the money.
Of course. Got to make those dollars.
So how do we actually make a profit with Turo?
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
That's what we're here to figure out. So you want to know how to actually turn a profit with Turo.
That's the million-dollar question.
Well, it all starts with setting the right price.
Okay, but how do you do that? Like, how do you know what to charge? It can't just be a random number, right?
No, definitely not. You have
Yeah.
to be strategic about it.
Strategic how?
Well, first you got to understand your local market.
Right, right.
Like, what are other people charging for similar cars?
Okay, so do some research, stalk the competition.
Exactly. But it's not just about being the cheapest. You also need to consider the value you're offering.
Like, what do you mean?
Well, is your car newer? Does it have any special features? Like leather seats, a sunroof, a great sound system?
Oh,
All those things can justify a higher price point.
right. So it's kind of like those fancy hotels with all the extra amenities.
Exactly. You're selling an experience, not just a mode of transportation.
So presentation matters too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Think about it. If you're a renter scrolling through Turo listings, would you be more drawn to a car with crisp, professional photos or one with blurry, dimly lit pictures taken in a messy garage?
Yeah. Okay. Presentation matters.
Mhm.
Got it. But what about the actual rental process? Like once someone books my car, any tips for making those interactions smoother, both for me and you, the renter?
Communication is key.
Like, what do I need to tell them?
Well, think about what you would want to know as a renter. Be upfront about your car's features. Any quirks? It might have mileage limits.
Yeah.
And your expectations for how they should return the car. Like, do you want it clean? Full tank of gas? Just be clear about all that stuff up front. It'll save you a lot of headaches later.
So basically, treat others how you'd want to be treated, even if they're driving your precious car.
Precisely. And speaking of the car, what about the pickup and drop off? Do I have to meet every renter in person?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I don't have time for all that.
Well, Turo gives you some options. You can set designated meeting spots, or you can even offer delivery for a fee.
Oh, that's cool.
It's up to you. Just think about your lifestyle and how much time you're willing to dedicate to those logistics.
Okay, so convenience versus profit. Got it. But let's talk about safety.
Ah, yes, the big one.
Because I gotta be honest, I'm a little freaked out about handing my car over to a complete stranger.
I get it. It's a totally valid concern.
Yeah.
But Turo has things in place to mitigate those risks.
Like what?
Well, for starters, they have a pretty thorough verification process for both owners and renters.
So it's not just anyone off the street.
Nope. They check driver's licenses, run background screenings, that kind of thing.
Okay, that makes me feel a little better.
And on top of that, Turo provides insurance coverage.
For the renter or for me?
Both. It protects you financially in case of accidents, damage, or even theft.
Oh, wow. So I'm covered if they total my car.
You are. But of course, there are always those little things that insurance might not cover,
Like what?
like a small dent or a stain on the upholstery.
Ugh. Yeah, those are annoying. Do I just have to suck it up and deal with those?
Not necessarily. You can try to prevent them with a really clear rental agreement.
Oh, so I can like spell out my expectations for how they treat the car?
Absolutely. And you can even include a cleaning fee in your rental terms to cover those situations.
Smart. Okay, so we've talked about pricing, we've talked about safety, but are there any other strategies for like maximizing my Turo earnings besides just setting a good price?
You bet. There are definitely ways to make your listing stand out.
Like what?
Well, think about offering extras that add convenience or enhance the rental experience.
Okay, give me an example.
For instance, you could offer airport or hotel delivery for a fee.
That's a good idea.
People love convenience, especially when they're traveling.
Totally. So I could charge extra for that? What else?
You could offer prepaid fuel child safety seats, or even like a curated guide with your favorite local spots.
Oh, that's a cool idea. Like insider tips on the best restaurants and stuff.
Exactly. Little things like that can really make a difference.
So think outside the box.
Exactly. And as you gain experience and positive reviews, you might even consider scaling up your operation, managing multiple vehicles on Turo.
Wait, so this could turn into like a full-blown business?
It definitely could, but it's important to be realistic about the commitment involved. Managing multiple cars means more bookings, more maintenance, and potentially more logistical headaches.
Okay, so maybe start small, get the hang of it, and then consider expanding. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We've covered a lot, but I'm sure there's more to this Turo puzzle.
There's always more to explore.
So we're back for the final part of our Turo deep dive.
Time to wrap things up.
Yeah, we've gone pretty deep on all those like nitty-gritty details of how to actually do this whole Turo thing.
Right, all those practical steps.
Yeah.
Like picking the right car, making sure it's always in top shape, setting your prices, and then actually managing all those renter interactions.
Yeah, which honestly can be a little tricky sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. But now I kind of want to zoom out a bit. Look at the bigger picture.
The big picture of what?
Well, what does this whole car sharing trend actually mean? Is this just a fad, or is it like actually changing how we think about owning a car or even transportation in general?
Okay, yeah, I'm curious about that too. So, like, what are the potential upsides? Not just for people who are using Turo, but like for society as a whole.
Hmm. Well, think about it.
Yeah.
We have millions of cars just sitting around idle most of the time, right?
True. Mine's definitely parked more than it's driven.
So Turo is putting those vehicles to work.
Mm.
Owners are making money. People who need a car have a convenient option. It's like a win-win as far as efficiency goes.
Yeah, I like that. We're finally using our stuff more smartly. But what about the environment? Isn't this putting more cars on the road, leading to more emissions?
That's a good question. And it's a common concern, but it's not necessarily true. Actually, Turo could even encourage people to use their cars more responsibly.
How so?
Well, if you can offset some of the cost of owning a car by renting it out, you might be less likely to buy a second car.
Oh, I see. So it's like instead of adding to our carbon footprint, we're potentially making it smaller by sharing what we already have.
Exactly. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
cool. Okay, so we've talked about the upsides, but I'm sure there are some potential downsides too, right?
Of course. Every coin has two sides.
Yeah.
So one concern is the impact on traditional businesses like rental car companies.
Oh, yeah. Turo is basically like competition for them.
Right. It's disrupting that whole market,
Yeah.
offering a more decentralized and cheaper option.
It's kind of like what Uber and Lyft did to the taxi industry.
Exactly. Change can be disruptive. And then there's the whole regulatory side of things.
Oh, right. Like, are there even laws for this kind of stuff?
Well, the laws and regulations around car sharing, they vary a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of cities are still trying to figure out how to manage these new services.
Because it's like the Wild West out there.
Kinda, yeah. The rules are still being written as the industry grows.
Okay, so with all that in mind, what's the takeaway for our listener who's been with us this whole time learning about Turo? What's the verdict? Should they do it or not?
Honestly, there's no easy answer. Turo isn't some magic way to get rich quick. And it's definitely not going to be a good fit for everyone.
Right. It takes effort and some research, and you got to be willing to adapt, to like figure things out as you go.
Exactly. It's about being smart about it. Do your homework. Figure out if it aligns with your lifestyle and your financial goals.
Yeah, and even if you decide Turo isn't right for you at this moment. I think what we've talked about today shows that there are some big changes happening in how we think about ownership. Like not just cars, but everything.
Absolutely. This whole sharing economy is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And whether it's cars, houses, skills, whatever, people are realizing that they don't need to own everything.
It's about being resourceful and maybe even a little adventurous. So to wrap things up, here's a final thought for everyone. What if your car isn't just a car?
Ooh, I like that.
What if it's a way to unlock new experiences, new connections, and maybe even some financial freedom?
It's definitely something to think about. And that's all we have for you today. Thanks for joining us on this Turo Deep Dive.